Welcome back to Farrier's Quest. I'm here with my son Forrest. He's doing the videoing right now. We have Hansi boy. He kind of hangs out with us, and he doesn't like the camera that much because he's told me he doesn't want to be famous. So I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, what we have here today, we have kind of a good one, and this is a one that probably all horse owners fear, and maybe they shouldn't fear it as much as they do. Sometimes it's worthy of fear. But what we have here, we have ourselves a Mustang horse come off an Indian reservation, and we have this great big crack coming up his foot, and we needed to, before we can actually treat it, we need to figure out what is actually wrong with it or creating it. So we have several different things. We could have had an abscess that worked up through the toe, broke out at the coronet band, started the crack out, big hollow spot up through there, cracked, failed. We could have seedy toe. It's weakened the wall to the point where it's cracked. We could also have a coronet band injury at the top there at the hairline that's now created a scar. And now basically we have a situation where the hoof isn't bonded there between, so it'll be there for the rest of his life. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into this, we're gonna figure out what this mystery is. And then we're gonna go from there, we're gonna show you how we're gonna treat it. And this horse right now is not sore, but he's gonna be. And so we wanna get ahead of this before that happens. So here we are, we have this horse's foot up, and let's give it a good clean job. And maybe we can kind of get a little quick look here and figure out what the heck's going wrong in here. As you can see, here's where the crack is. And the problem with these kind of cracks is, the dirt's getting up in there, and even as you can see, this right in here is split away, and it's opening up. And that's one of the problems with these things is they go along, the dirt that impacts up inside the foot even makes the problem grow. And that's part of what we need to get straightened out here. And so as you can see, all this part of the foot, there's no sole connecting to the wall right here, and that's pulling on this direction, which is making this crack larger. So folks, on this horse, one of the problems too that's adding up to this problem is that we have a horse with an extremely dried out foot, and this is very common. And mostly here in Southern California, where we have a lot of dry up in the high desert, anywhere you have a deserty area, we get a lot of really dry feet, and it can be turned into a problem. I don't think that's what's caused this, but it sure is adding to it. I tell all my customers when their feet start getting hard, you need to overflow your water bucket a little bit and let your horse, as he drinks, walk over into that little bit of that mud, and that will help keep his feet nice and where they belong. This is a very natural process because when the horses are in the wild, that's exactly what they do. Once or twice a day, they go down to the pond or the creek, they walk through some mud, and they get into the water. Their feet should be getting damp every day a little bit. So anyway, I'm gonna use this little torch, a little trick. A lot of guys know this, but we're gonna heat this. I can't even cut the foot. So we're just gonna heat this up right in there, and it's gonna make it a lot easier for me to cut that. That foot before was so hard my knife wouldn't even cut it. And it also kind of toughens the foot up afterwards, heating it. We've been heating up feet for, well, a few thousand years now with hot iron. So it's not something that's bad for your horse's foot. We found a few other little issues with the horse. On his other foot, he's quite a bit out of balance, medial lateral balance. And we'll show you what we mean. Using the laser in the center line of the horse's foot. So go ahead and pan down here. What we see is this laser is doing a vertical line. We drew this black line on the horse's foot, and how we got that is we went 90 degrees. We used a tool, we went 90 degrees from the bottom of the foot, and that's exactly 90 degrees. And so what we have here is when we put this laser on there, that laser is perfectly vertical. And you can see we're on the line here, but as we get to the top, the line is over, and that's because this is too high over here. We're gonna have to cut more foot off over here until these line up. Now, normally we do all this by eye, and we've been doing it that way for thousands of years. But we've developed a few other methods to check on ourselves, and this method isn't perfect either. But when we think we have an issue, we can use 2 or 3 different methods, add them all up and come to a better calculation. And that's what we're trying to do here. All right, so here we are. I just spoke about the hoof being out of balance. The inside of the foot, or the medial side, was too long. And that happens. That's quite common with the horse. This horse is barefooted. We can't control which way he's going to wear his feet. So let's pan on down here and we'll take a look. We got the vertical laser back on there now, and now you can see that we have the line lined up with the black line. See, there's the black line there, and then the laser. So this laser is perfectly vertical. And so now we know that because we've gone 90 degrees off of the bottom of the foot to draw this line, we know this horse is standing up on himself correctly. All right, folks, so we prepared both these front feet. We're back to the cracked foot now. I wanted to do a little bit of that medial lateral balancing stuff for you. That's not really the topic of today, and we are going to have a video that really goes into that and how critical that is. But that's not for today. So let's look at this foot, and I'll explain to you what I found. So I came up with 3 different reasons probably why the horse would be this way. And what we ultimately have found is that this horse has seedy toe. And so seedy toes, kind of like white line, it's a bacteria that's built up. Normally you find it right here in the center of the foot. In this particular case, it's over here to the side. It also has, we had a little bit of white line in here, but I got it really early. I have it all out. That's why I dug that out. But you can see down in here what we have going on here. Now we're going to show you that we're going to come to the front of the horse's foot, put it on the stand now. And quite often when you have a horse like this, what you have is you come up here to the coronet band and you'll see that there's a scar and a line coming down the wall, and that's going to be a permanent crack. That doesn't mean you can't get it to close up, because you can through shoeing normally, but this horse does not have that scar, and nor does he appear that he's had, you might say, a regular abscess that a horse would get. Usually when regular abscesses blow out, they blow out horizontally. And this is and then you can get a vertical crack, but generally you won't. But this is due to seedy toe. It's an infection that's going up inside of his foot, and basically it's stopping there. That's why I quit cracking there. We're gonna get all this cleaned out. We're gonna put a patch on this horse and lock this in, put a shoe on him, and it's gonna take a year, but this foot's gonna grow out and it's gonna look normal again. Here at Ferris Quest, we use the most modern things we can get our hands on. This is a pretty good tool. It's called the Hoof Boss. We've had some issues with it, but overall, we really enjoy this thing. We're gonna use a Dremel on this foot also to carve this foot out, but we want to get a lot of meat out of there in a hurry, and in certain parts we can. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this, and we're gonna do a little work here, and it's gonna get a lot of work done fast. We're gonna open this up. We make sure that we're gonna get all the infection out of that foot, and also prepare it for the patch. I will go ahead and switch over this little Dremel tool. We can get a little more exact work up in here, a little deeper spots. We got some stuff way up in there that needs to be, infection way up in there that needs to be taken out. Although in this particular case, a lot of this is down here. Won't matter that much. The main thing is I'm getting it out up in here. Oops. And reaching up inside there. It's kind of like a dentist, getting the bad stuff out. She's got a little bit up in there. So here we are. We've been working on this now for 10 minutes or so, and I've got to get all that old dark black stuff out of there, and we pretty well have it. So had to reach up in here pretty far. I got just a couple little spots to go here, and then we're going to go to the next step. All right, we're back. So we've done a lot of work on this foot. We used 2 different electric tools to get to the bottom of this. What we had to do is we had to get all the black, gnarly stuff out of there. It's almost like kind of like thrush. It's not thrush, but it's very, very similar. And it's kind of a dry, flaky bacteria is what it creates up in there. And it turned into a lot more up in there than I figured on. And so let's pan down here to the foot. I'll put it up on the stand so you can take a good look at it. And you know, it's a lot different than it was before. You can see how much I had to remove to get the infection out. And we had to get in here and get all the black out. And some of this black, of course, is just the pigment of his foot. I'm gonna do a tad more work on this. And then we're gonna put a patch. We're gonna show you how we're gonna do that. So what we have here, we have so much cut out now. This foot is gonna tend to want to do this, okay? And of course, that's why we're gonna put a shoe on it for sure so it doesn't open and close. We don't want it to crack anymore. We're gonna put this mesh in here, and we're going to use some hoof rebuilder, super fast, and we're gonna put in there. It's gonna give this thing some strength. Probably could do it without the mesh. I like to put the mesh. I think it adds that much, just that much more support. All right, so here we are. We're gonna put a little bit of super fast, and as everybody knows, if you've been around me much, I love super fast, and I think it's one of the greatest products in my lifetime for horse shaving. We're gonna smear some of this. This stuff gets hard so fast, and that's why they call it what they call it. And we're gonna put that on there, and it's gonna dry. Gotta keep it off the cornet band right there. We don't want to irritate it. If we get it on there, we can cut it out with a knife. Not a big deal. Well, here we're back. We'll put a new tube on. That stuff only took about 2 minutes to harden. We're gonna go ahead and start up in there a little bit. Let it stick that mesh, and we're gonna work it around here. And we're gonna strengthen this foot up. Some of this mesh, if we don't get it covered, we don't really care. We're gonna rasp it off and blend it right on in. So we just want to get a nice tight bond here. We already dried the foot. We didn't show you that. We've showed that in past videos. We dried the foot with a blower and get it good and prepared. Too much moisture in the foot, which this foot, of course, one of its problems is it's awfully dry. And we just gobble the stuff on here. And we're gonna, look at that, so you can see how fast that's going. I'm gonna put it on the ground and finish this out right here. Hopefully we won't stick to the ground. I normally have a little piece of cardboard that I put down, but I think we're gonna get away with it. So, and we're gonna go ahead and go over here a little bit more. As you can see, the tip is already clogging up. It's a warm day here in Southern California, and that's got a lot to do with how fast this stuff dries or hardens. I'm gonna fill in my voids here. Now we'll let that get hard. We'll show you the next process in just a moment. Here we are now. We're gonna blend this all in, and when we're done here, hopefully when we're done here, if we've accomplished what we're trying to do, is we're doing a little art at the same time. We're not even gonna really see that this horse even had this, and it's gonna look really good. Now we're not gonna dye the foot black, which is his natural color. We'll let the owner of the horse do that if they would like to. Here we are, we're back again. And we have shaped this foot, done a little artistry work on it, and we've shaped the foot like we want the foot. Taking the distortions out, we filled in that gap and strengthened this hoof. We're gonna build a shoe for it here, and we're gonna show you that too. We're gonna do a couple little tricks to help relieve pressure on the front of this foot also. But you can see now what the foot looks like. It looks a lot nicer, and here's that backing that we put in there. We'll just leave that there. I'll probably cut a little bit of that out to clean it up a little bit, but overall, you know, that's not a big worry at this point, because the most important thing is that we have a good strong foot. But so there we are. It's gonna be a nice size foot. He's actually got a nice size foot and for his size. You know, like I said, he's a Mustang horse. Come off an Indian reservation, and well, he wasn't that well taken care of, I don't think. Or he may have just been running out in huge pastures and not getting all the care that he needed. you watch our videos, you'll see that we do a technique where we move the breakover back for horses that are out of center of rotation, where their foot is too elongated and they're having a hard time getting over their toe. We're gonna do the same thing with this horse. I'm gonna smash this down in the forge. I'm gonna, instead of the horse, this is a pretty good shoe because it doesn't break over at the tip, it's a rim. It breaks over here, but we're gonna move that back to here. And you'll see in other videos how we do that. And we're really not gonna bore you with that now, but we're gonna go ahead and put this in the forge. I'm gonna smash that down, we're gonna grind this up. And this horse is gonna, the whole idea is that we wanna take leverage off of the toe wall. And this is gonna, if this horse steps off the point here, it's gonna create a lot of force up on his dorsal wall, on the face of his foot. By us moving the rotation back, we're going to move the stress off to the sides of the horse's feet, approximately where the first nail holes are. And that's what we're gonna go ahead and accomplish right now. And we'll go ahead and turn our forge on, and we'll get these shoes, we'll get them red hot, and we'll get them shaped up. All right, here we are. I don't know if you can see that, but we've sloped the shoe forward by mashing it down in the forge, and it's on an angle there. So the horse, when he starts to, he rocks over here now. We call that breakover. And right in here, you can see where the big patch is at. And so I'm gonna do another little fun trick is this foot is flat. This shoe is sitting on it completely flat. But we're gonna unload this area right here. So it's gonna be, or call it unloading or floating it. And so now the shoe will not be pushing on the patch. And it'll help relieve that, so there's less pressure on it. Seriously doubt the patch would ever come out, but if only thing it takes is a hit with the file a few times to relieve that, it's well worth it. We're gonna set this shoe. We're gonna take a good look at it from the front side. Make sure everything's fitting on there right. I'm sure that it is. And yeah, looking pretty good. So I'm gonna have my son Forrest go ahead and nail the rest of this shoe off. So we'll have Forrest here nail this horse the rest of the way off. We call this channel Farrier's Quest. Well, for several reasons. My family, we're lifelong learners, and we're in a quest for more knowledge. My son has a quest for learning that is in a quest to learn this trade, and the same for me to teach it. Well, of course, it's got them all nailed up. He's gonna go ahead and start the finishing process of clinching and smoothing out the job. When we clinch a horse's feet, there's several ways to go about it. You can use a gouger that gouges underneath the nail into the horse's foot, so the nail folds in flush with the foot. Some guys will go underneath the nail with the rasp and create a little groove. We don't do either. I don't like those grooves. We go underneath the nail and take the splayed foot off, and then we fold it down and file it down smooth. We find it to be a better way of doing it, and we don't weaken the hoof. The problem with putting the groove in a horse's foot, it's kind of like etching a piece of glass. It gives it a place to break. But old Hansi boy, he says he's happy with the job, and he comes out here and he lays around and he keeps me and Forrest in line, and reminds us to keep our quality up. And he's went ahead and give us the okay on this job, and that means a lot to both of us. So anyway, let's get back to what we've done here. So obviously in the video you saw we had this great big crack, and then we realized that we had a lot of bacteria up in there, and we had to cut all that out. So that crack got a lot bigger, but we've got the bacteria out. And without doing that, It's never going to go away, and it's just gonna stay there. No matter what you do, there's no other way to go about it. And so we have all that carved out. That took a long time and a lot of work, but we're good and clean now. We've patched that up. We've rebalanced both these front feet, and we're on the right track. It's going to take 9 months to a year for this foot to grow out. Hopefully here in 2 or 3 more cycles, we won't have to do so much patching and messing around. We shouldn't have to grind anymore, that canal out of there anymore. Next time we'll take that out of there and make sure that we don't have bacteria growing again. And if we do, then we'll have to eliminate that. Cut it out with knives, Dremel tools, all different kinds of devices like you saw us do. One of the problems with seedy toe and white line disease is that it's unlike thrush, it doesn't have an odor. And so it's easy generally for an owner to know that their horse has thrush. It stinks, it's black, it's gooey, and it's pretty obvious to them. And it's actually fairly easy for a horse owner to treat all on their own. But when it comes to seedy toe and white line, it's the shoer is going to be the one that finds it. And it needs to be treated because it may take years to get worse. What went on with this horse has taken years to get to where it's at. And now it's going to take a year to get rid of it. So you want to catch it early. If your shoer says that you have white line, have him section the foot, pay the money, and get it out of there. It eventually will grow up in there so bad you'll have lameness. That lameness is going to last a long time, and you're going to be putting out a lot more, and your poor horse is not going to be in very good shape. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. Thank you for joining us.